Hello, I'm Tess, and welcome back to part two of How to Become a Great Leader. We're just going to get straight into a slideshow because ain't no body got time to mess about. So this is how to think like a leader. So the context, you've been promoted probably because you're great at what you do. You've been doing all the right things. You've got the promotion you deserve. You've now stepped into your first leadership position and or a senior manager role, and you see yourself as a leader, but others might not yet. And you might suddenly feel imposter syndrome or really out of your depth as you sit at a new table. In part one, we talked about the three different workplace career transitions: worker, doing the work; manager, managing people; leadership is about managing the company. And the difference between manager and leader is an identity shift. If you've missed part one, go back and watch it because that's where we talk about this in more depth. And I asked you, are you trying to become or are you a leader with a manager's mindset and calendar? Because nobody tells you what to do. And we talked about the evolution of leadership mastery. This is the diagnostic where you can get full clarity and understand where you should be. We should be focusing on this column just here. So if you wanted to, you could just pause this, have a look at that and see where you sit in each of those three columns. And what we want to be doing is spending as much time as we can in the leadership column doing all those things. If you want a copy of this, drop me a message, drop me an email to tessa@tessagrint.com or scan that QR code. And I asked you as well, how much of your week is spent thinking, being, behaving, and acting like a leader? Now, part two is about thinking like a leader, and we don't usually start here. So, the stuff that I'm talking you through today and over these through few this sort of series is actually from my book. Promotion Isn't the Point. It's about how to move from manager to leader by mastering your craft, yourself, and your systems first. And this is the book just here. We start actually with who you are. We start with your zone of genius. We start with mapping that out. And we talk about all of these things before we get to number six, which is capability by design, which is about thinking like a leader. So we don't usually start here, but 9 times out of 10, it's the thing that I'm asked for the most. So that's why we're going to talk a little bit today about how you actually think like a leader. So, again, if you've done part one, you will know that leaders think like owners. And if you haven't done part one, I want you to pause now and reflect on this question. If you were the owner of the business that you work for or in, what would you do differently? And the answer to that will be somewhere within the 4 R's. So, owners care about revenue. This is money, it's profit, it's how the business grows. They care about people, retention. Are they staying? Are they happy? Are they thriving? Happy people are productive people. Happy people make more sales. They take fewer sick days. It's been proven time and time again. Retention is really important. Risk. Are you taking too much or are you taking too little? It is always a balance. And finally, reputation. This is about what the world thinks of the company and or the brand and or the people that work within it. And what you'll find is that company goals, objectives, OKRs, whatever you call them in your company, they always align with one of these four. So, step one, how do you think like a leader? The first and biggest and most important thing you can do is make time for it. So, right now, while you're watching this, I want you to open your work calendar and I want you to find a time in there that is regularly free. And I want you to block out 1 hour every single week and call it strategic thinking. Have it repeat every week, call it strategic thinking, and guard that time with your life. I used to choose, actually, I still do, either a Friday morning or a Friday afternoon because I tend to have fewer meetings then. And this is when I do my strategic thinking. So pause this now, open your work calendar, block that time out, come back. Step two is use what I've put together as the strategic thinking agenda. So if you want a copy of this, you can scan the QR code to request your copy of the strategic thinking agenda, or you can drop me an email if you're watching this on mobile to tessa@tessagrint.com. And what I do in the strategic thinking agenda is we go through a few things. We go through a retrospective. This is where we look back and we look at what you liked, what you didn't, all this kind of stuff. Then we identify problems. Then we define the problem. We select one of those problems that you're going to focus on. We define it, take it through the problem solving formula, and then we look at the next three things that you can do. So Let's go into each of these in a bit more detail. Step one, a retrospective from the strategic thinking agenda. So, over the last 7 days or longer, if you haven't done this for a while, you might want to do the last month, you might want to do the last year, you might want to do the last quarter. What went well? What didn't go so well? Why? What did you learn? What did or didn't you enjoy? And why? And what will you do differently next time on the back of what you learned? And last piece, if depending on where you work and what your role is, who else needs to know, sorry, about what you learned. You can do this on your own weekly. This also works really well when done quarterly or monthly with your team. Okay, step one, a retrospective. If you want to do this now while you're following along, just pause this now and take 10 minutes to think about that. Step two, identify problems. We want to be thinking like a leader, remember. Leaders think much bigger than just themselves or their area. So we want to identify problems in relation to you, your team, your area, your department, your company, or even your industry. So thinking about the 4 Rs and the overall company objectives, what is the biggest problem in your team, company, or industry that needs solving right now? So it could be something like, what is stopping you from onboarding more customers or selling more products? Are the team unhappy? Are they unproductive? How can you unlock that? What is the biggest blocker? Is there a process that's really chunky that can be smoother? For me, it was always stuff to do with sign off. I used to work in finance, it's a heavily governed industry. There were a lot of things that we could do there to improve that governance process as well. Is there something around testing? What are the reasons that customers aren't buying or aren't buying as quickly as they could? If you don't know this information, the problem could be lack of data. Okay, so pause for a moment there and think about what those problems are. Then we choose the most important problem or the problem that is blocking the most. And we take it through the problem solving formula so that you have something to present to a manager. And what this looks like is defining the problem. So, firstly, what exactly is the problem? A problem well defined is halfway solved. Then we gather information, we use objective data. This isn't just, I think, this is the data is telling me X, Y, and Z. And because of this, I think. Very, very different presentation there. Then we generate possible solutions. How could you or the right people solve that problem? You don't need to be the one that solves it. You might just need to know the ones who can. Or you might just need to know how to bring people together to a workshop to solve the problem. Then we evaluate the options and you select the best solutions. Then you implement the chosen solution. So if you're writing this as a proposal to present to your manager, you need to think about how you would implement the chosen solution. So what resources do you need? Perhaps some people, some money, some time, some training, whatever. When could this happen and who can help you? Then we monitor reviews and review it. So again, if you're not ready to implement this solution quite yet, think about how you would monitor and review if the solution that you've proposed had worked. This gets you the proposal to give to your manager to have a conversation to show that you are thinking like a leader. If you've already been promoted into this leadership space, this is how they are going to expect you to think. So use this formula to present not necessarily to a manager, but to the rest of your senior leadership team that this is a problem that you've identified that needs solving. This is how it affects the business and or their area as well, and this is how you propose to solve it. Like I said, if you want a copy of the strategic thinking agenda, scan the QR code to request it or drop me a message to tessa@tessagrint.com. After you've created the formula, after you've been through what this is going to look like, then you think about the next 3 things. So if you don't need to sign off this proposal with anybody, think about the next 3 steps that you need to take to solve this problem. Perhaps you need to speak to somebody, perhaps you need to set up a meeting, perhaps you need to reach out to some people. That is usually the first place that we start once you have defined this. This will give you your kind of strategy to follow. Then we start implementing that strategy. And usually step one of that is reaching out to some of those people. So that is it. Quick, short, sharp. how to think like a leader. One of the most, well, there's a lot of other resources I have about how to think like a leader, but this is the most important one because it's the simplest to implement. I'm a leadership architect. I talk about systems, rituals, process, structure that help you to step up into leadership. I don't just coach leaders, I engineer them. Yes, coaching is a big part of that, but engineering and the systems and the structure that we put in place are the biggest way that people actually make sustainable change. And the strategic thinking agenda is one of the simplest, most effective systems that I have used for the last nearly 20 years and for my clients as well. So yes, if you found that interesting, drop me a message, tessa@tessagrint.com. I'd love to hear from you and hear your feedback. Like I said, I've got 20 years experience in marketing, leadership development, and I know how this works. I am a leadership architect. I don't just coach people. This is about creating structure, ritual, and process that sits behind and systems that make you the leader that we know you can be. If you are interested, my book, Promotion Isn't the Point, is about how to move from manager to leader by mastering your craft, self, and systems first. So, your craft is what you do, your self is who you need to become, and your systems are how you get there. And this is one of those systems. So, if you're interested in learning a little bit more, I have part 3 as well. So, send me a message, let me know if you're interested, or watch the next video on YouTube for part 3. But apart from that, all that's left to say is thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. This is not another leadership model. This is a new era. The world does not need more coaches, but it does need architects of excellence. And I am the one that can help you to get there. So if you're ready, let's begin. Thank you so much. And I will hopefully see you next time for part 3. Bye.